Hey there, sport. How you doing?
Hey, Benjamin, how are you?
Good. We're excited. We reached our goal yesterday. We're at
We did.
115K right now on our Kickstarter, which is awesome.
Only
And
10K away from the 1,000 random encounters that we will be adding to the Underlands, which is awesome sauce.
yes, the Book of Random Encounters PDF. It's going to be great. A big thanks to everyone who has backed the campaign.
For
You guys
real.
are awesome.
For real. It's wild to see all the support that we've been getting on the campaign and hearing all the positive things. It's great after so much hard work to get here. It's thrilling. Without you guys, this would not be possible. And we still got a long way to go though, and a lot of stretch goals to do. And we're excited for the next ones. But today we're going to be talking about Dungeoneer Adventures, the beginner's game specifically, and diving into some of the details on the game itself, the mechanics, and maybe some tips and tricks for running it.
Indeed. And we would love your comments and questions as we talk, totally welcome to ask away. It's going to be, pretty informal.
Yeah, I mean, this is like yesterday. This is a chance for Ben and I to take a breather and just hang out with everybody and talk shop and share what we can about the game. And, no pressure on anybody.
So maybe we should first talk about why we actually made it. Because from our perspective, Land of Eam, the core game, is pretty kid friendly. But it's not made for kids. And so there's a lot of elements to it that while you could easily remove them, it's not the easiest thing to figure that out, just if you're a new person coming to the game.
Sure. Yeah. As veteran gamers ourselves, we just pick and choose the mechanics and things that we like when we're playing games. And so if you're looking to reduce complexity in Land of Eam, you can just leave stuff out. You can just do what you want to do and make the rule set your own. But that said, we knew that we wanted to ultimately streamline the rule system for younger kids, primarily because Ben and I both became fathers over the last several years. And we wanted to find the ideal game to play with our kids when they were ready to play. And so we thought, let's do it. Let's take Land of Eam and streamline it. Not to mention all of the amazing comments and suggestions we've gotten from our community over the years, where people have already been utilizing Land of Eam in classroom settings and libraries and using it as the go-to for a lot of introducing games to kids that are flexible and creative. And ultimately, that's how we ended up where we are. And as far as Dungeoneer Adventures being the setting of the kid game, that was an obvious choice for us because we are the authors of the Dungeoneer Adventures series from Random House. I'm sorry, from Simon & Schuster.
That really kind of influenced this as well, because we have the setting, we have the premise of a kid's game. So that was totally in the picture, in the mix of leading us down this path.
And for those of you that don't know, Dungeoneer Adventures, the book series, is an action adventure fantasy series about a kid named Coop Cooperson that is the only human kid to attend Dungeoneer Academy in the Underlands in the Land of Eam. And so if you're not 100% familiar with Land of Eam, Dungeoneer Adventures takes place in the same world. It shares the realm of the Underlands. And so that's why the combination of the Kickstarter emerged as it is.
What's up, Paul? How you doing?
Hello, Paul. Welcome.
Okay. So one thing we knew that we wanted to keep was the core dice mechanic. That's tried and true. We feel like it works. It's, some children may need to get used to it or something.
Sure.
It's perfect for imaginative play. And kids are really good at that. They're better than you would think. That's like their wheelhouse.
Mm-hmm.
When I played with kids, That's not the hard part. The hard part is like the rules and the crunchiness
Yeah.
of like, what does this ability do? What does this do? They can dream up scenarios and results pretty easily.
And they'll come up with the wildest and most creative solutions and scenarios too. So the dice mechanic needed to support that, of course.
And we want to make it feel like Land of Eam. Like, we want to keep that. So
Yeah.
what we did was we came across the idea of doing custom dice symbols and mapping it to letter grades. And so we've got A+, A-, A, etc. F+. We almost did an F-, but we felt like that just felt a little too negative.
Yeah, tonally didn't work with what we're trying to achieve. Like it's all forward. We wanted it all to be forward and positive, so that ideas and even failures are rewarded. Simple as that.
F-, I mean, the equivalent is the banana peel. It's something silly happens, something unexpected, chaotic, which is always fun, which is very Land of Eam and exactly how we play and want to, like James said, fail forward. And so dice mechanic is all the same as Land of Eam, essentially, except you've got the custom dice. And so you have skill dice and talent dice, which are the main dice that you're using to roll checks.
Yeah, let's bring up the dice so we can point to the symbols and show folks.
Sure. So here's a sample of what we have of the layout. You've got your skill dice, which are currently yellow. They represent a Dungeoneer's, basic training and skills and everything they've learned at the academy. They have 50-50 odds. So all of the symbols are weighted 50% success, 50% F+ or banana peel. And then you've got talent dice, which are green. And these are more like, they're better versions. They're your Dungeoneer's expertise, and they're weighted more towards, A+, A-. Banana peel isn't on it. And you start out with one of those at character creation.
So everybody's talented in something.
Yeah. And so combat dice are unique in that you don't upgrade them. They're just a base level combat dice. Everyone uses the same one. And they also mimic the counterattacks of Land of Eam. If you're familiar with Land of Eam, what happens is if you roll a hit with a counterattack, you hit the enemy, but they get to hit you back or attack you back.
Right.
And that makes combat really fast and fun. You can get into these cool duel scenarios where it feels like you're having this awesome duel with someone.
We had one in our actual play that was epic, where every roll was a counterattack or a hit with a counterattack.
Yeah, you can get these really lucky strings where it feels pretty cool.
A mighty duel.
And yeah.
And so the skill and talent dice, the banana peel is actually, can you zoom in a little bit so people can read this? That might be helpful. I can't read it, but in the spread, we've got the explanations for what each of them are, and you'll see, anyone familiar with the Land of Eam will see the trend. So the banana peel represents a failure, but it's a failure where something silly, unexpected, or chaotic happens, not necessarily super negative towards the individual player, because this is for kids and we want to encourage them to play and be creative. The failure with a plus, the F+, is the check, but something beneficial happens, even though it's a failure. Similarly, the A- you pass the check, but there's some sort of a complication associated to the success. A is you passed, you did it, success. And A+ is you were very successful and something extra cool happens. So anybody familiar with the Land of Eam will understand that this is here and operates this way. And we think it's the bread and butter of how we play.
And we have examples, like in the actual book, there will be examples of how to do this for each category, like each attribute, Vim, Vigor, Knack, Know-how. So you'll get a sense of what that looks like, and you'll also see it in the pretty detailed example of play that we've written up.
Yeah, and we wanted to make those resources really accessible because we understand that, especially if you're new to a TTRPG, that the idea of coming up with a twist or a benefit on the fly can be creatively challenging when you're not flexing that muscle all the time. But there's a lot of examples to get into the groove, so it becomes like muscle memory. It's like, oh, but they slip on a banana peel literally, or you get through the lock, but now the door is broken, or something like that. So lots of examples to make it easy.
And of course, if you don't have the dice, if you're just using PDFs, there is a chart that'll help you play the game easily. Then that makes it more like playing Land of Eam.
What else? That's pretty much the dice mechanic.
Yeah. Now we'll go to badges and levels. This is not in chronological order, by the way. This is just
these are just
what's currently ready.
Yeah.
What you're doing in the game is you're trying to earn badges. That's sort of like your XP. And you do this by playing special quests in the sandbox. They're all linked to the academy courses, and each academy course has their own teacher, professor. So every time you gain a badge, you rack them up, and you can see here, you start at level 1. Once you get your first badge from the introductory adventure academy orientation, you will earn a badge and become level 2. And you gain a new ability, as well as +1 courage. And so that's kind of the track you're on. And then the next level, you'll replace one of your skill dice with a talent die. And
like a level upgrade.
Yeah, we'll get more into like what your favorite subject and trait are. Those are kind of your defining aspects of your character a little later. Those influence, your talent die that you start with, as well as your abilities. Now, equipment. Equipment is you start with a weapon as well as some adventuring gear, and these are they're mainly for flavor, and to like get your mind going when you're playing, just like
little creative cues that kids can use to be like, oh, what do I have in my inventory? I've got some chalk and a crowbar, and I've got a bag of marbles. And like Ben said, these are flavor. There's no, specific mechanic or inventory tracking or anything like that.
You can only carry 4 of these regular items at a time. And you can also have item cards. And these are things that you gain by playing. And
fun ones, your magic items and magnificent items.
Yeah. So those are basically you acquire them by playing. And you can have 4 of those as well. A lot of things are in 4s in this game, just to keep it simple. You got 4 attributes. You can carry 4 adventuring gear. You can carry 4 items. Now, we could show you some items.
I think we should go to the character sheet, maybe. You know what I mean? Because we can walk through we can walk through some of the things we mentioned pretty easily with that. Is that a Ghost and Goblins reference on that item card? Palsy. I love it. Okay, here you go. The Dungeoneer Adventures card.
Yeah. So you got your name, of course. You've got your area to draw your portrait or your Dungeoneer body. Every Dungeoneer has courage, usually 4. Some start with 5. You can acquire armor with item cards. This is probably more than you'll need, but it's possible if you like stack up the right item cards, you get a lot of armor. Then you've got your favorite subject, and that is something you pick at the beginning, or if you're just playing with a pre-generated character, they'll just have it written. So you've got classes like Dungeoneering, creatures and critters, alchemy, etc. And that influences the pool of abilities that you will have or that you can choose from. Same goes for your trait. Your traits are like friendly, funny, strong, nimble. And those also influence your talent die as well as the other pool of abilities that you'll have access to. And then everyone is a folk that has a perk. You got your spot for writing down your badges and levels. Your special abilities. You get 4 over the 5 levels. And here you've got your Vim, Vigor, Knack, and Know-How, which how you do your skill checks. Now, I'll go back to special abilities. You don't actually have to, like in Land of Eam, you don't make skill checks related to your abilities. Your abilities just work. And you can repeat them with quest points.
Mm-hmm. Very simplified.
Because, as a kid, there's probably nothing worse than trying to do something cool and then it fails.
Oh, I've got this I'm really strong ability and it just doesn't work. That's not fun.
It's fun for me as an adult, but
yeah, that's true.
And then, like you said, we got your one weapon and your adventuring gear, which are mostly flavor. They start really mattering with the item cards.
There's also like a little key for Vim, Vigor, Knack, and Know-How, and that these are the core stats in Land of Eam. They're also a key element of the Dungeoneer Adventures series. What the kids learn how to improve upon in their courses and in the academy. And there's a little key that shows, like, if you're trying to do something brave or charming or that requires leadership, you roll a Vim, and you either roll your skill or your talent die, depending on what you have. And if you're using your strength, your stamina, your athleticism, you roll vigor. Trickery, agility, and stealth would be knack. Smarts, wisdom, and ingenuity would be know-how. And the same goes for the skill or the talent die, depending on what you have.
Is there a way I can cast Magic Missile at the darkness? I think you got the wrong game.
But I support it.
Yeah.
I love it. In fact, I love it. Note to self. So that's the whole card. That's the whole character card.
There is the back of the card.
That's true.
Which has the Dungeoneer's code on it. Now, the Dungeoneer's code, if you're not familiar, is this list of principles tenets that the Dungeoneers at the Academy sort of live and operate by. They revere it. It's like never split the party, that type of stuff. Always check for, there's always a secret door. I should just read it so I don't sound foolish.
Yeah. I was about to say, just share it so people can see.
I just gotta find it. That's always the problem.
Please hold, ladies and gentlemen, while we shuffle through the files. We've been managing 40 million files over the last 48 hours, and so it's tough.
Nope, didn't want to click on that.
PC. I just called Paul PC. I don't know who I am.
PC load letter.
BC and JP here. He's upset because you don't know them by heart.
Well, I was hoping James would, chime in, but it didn't happen.
I think I know most of them by heart. I'm no better than Ben. I know that fortune favors the bold.
All right.
Oh, there's Coop.
Look at all. Oh, okay. Here we go. So the back of the sheet also has this handy guide.
Yeah.
For you.
So the kids can all see really clearly what everything means. So they have their own little tiny reference.
So there's this thing of 11 tenets, and whenever the players embody these in action, they gain a quest point. So it's a little, I wouldn't say mini game, but a flavorful thing in the game.
And it's one of those things. Yeah, it's one of those things that there's a benefit for it, and if you want to do it, you can, but you don't have to.
Yeah, you probably want to be really in the spirit of being a Dungeoneer.
Yeah.
Now we could look at Brock Kerplunk here.
One of my favorite guys, actually, Ben. I want to play with him. Kip Tuttleman, alchemy. He's friendly. He's a Quirtle, and he's got the perk of Turtle Shell. Start with +1 armor at character creation.
So, as a friendly character, he has fast friends at level 1. Use it to become instant friends with an NPC. Alchemical explosion, because his favorite subject is alchemy. Cause a distraction or damage a structure with this alchemical explosion. Level 3, cozy vibes. Heal 1 courage or replenish a quest point to all of your teammates. And fairy dust, which is an alchemy thing. Animate an object to move on its own and obey commands.
And that little symbol there, that actually means once per session.
Yes.
Great question. So when you're using an ability, there's no roll required. It just works.
Now, if you're trying to do some other skill check, there's a roll.
Yeah. Like I want to shimmy up that gutter or swing in on a chandelier. Unless you have an ability that, supports that being successful automatically, then you do roll and, you could fall. Kip Tuttleman.
Another word about the special abilities. If you're making your own character, you can mix and match however you want from the pool of abilities. There are 4 per trait and 4 per favorite subject. So that's a total of 48 abilities, 6 in 6 different categories. And you could just make someone who has, all abilities in the funny category, and you're not taking any of the creatures and critters. There's a lot of combinations that you could do.
Can quest points be used to repeat once per session abilities like in Land of Eam? Kip's going to make a lot of friends in his gang of exiles.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, and I mean, there's a distinction between NPC and adversary. So you're not going to
there
be
could
just
be
like making friends with everything that is adversarial against you.
Right, like an NPC exile who's like on the fence.
Mm-hmm.
They'd be perfect for the ability, but Dorian Ryder or a true blood exile would be an adversary.
Cool.
Oh, thanks, Derek. Yeah, that's exactly our objective. Make it easy.
Yeah. And maybe we should sort of switch gears and look at from the GM side of things. How to play and what a typical game session looks like.
Yeah. First, I gotta share this from Paul C. Gonna take at least a roll to get Laszlo Rake to make nice. Got it. Oh, I can't wait for that sort of thing to happen. You've really convinced me. I've changed my ways. I'm gonna open up a bagel shop. Hang out.
James, I have to step away for 1 second.
No worries.
Take the wheel.
Hi, everybody. I'm taking the wheel for Ben Costa while he goes to get Bug or some other thing. So there's a couple of things. We've got the how to play section, as well as a little bit of guidance on how to structure adventures. And that actually harkens back to Derek's comment about, I'm sorry, I clicked away. Derek's comment, which, and correct me if I'm wrong, Derek, but do you feel like the kids are also looking at too many options in front of them, or they don't know where to go in the Mucklins because it's a sandbox, or is it just mechanic related? So that said, oh, hello, Ben. You're back already.
Yes.
Just talking about guidance on the structuring of adventures based on Derek's comment about the kids playing the Mucklins, and sometimes they have hard time making decisions. And I wanted to know if it was choice related or mechanics related or something like that, because this could be helpful.
Yeah, and we wanted to look at it from a perspective of a parent or an educator, someone who maybe doesn't have the experience that an RPG veteran would have. So we structured it pretty it's pretty structured. There's 4 steps. You start with your objective, the actual premise of the game, of the session, of the adventure, and make that pretty clear. It's like they're all framed in the book as the teacher's assignment to the kids. And you can have moments of role play in the classroom. There are write-ups of the curriculum for these classes, and there are a bunch of NPCs in the book, student NPCs that you can role play as, and maybe inject some fun or conflict between these characters. But most of the session is directed towards, this structure of objective. Next step is investigation and exploration, the actual meat and potatoes of following breadcrumbs and figuring out what the problem even is.
Yeah. And another thing is the objectives can be very specific because that might be easier for kids to latch onto. Like a magic tome is missing and we need to get it before it gets into the wrong hands. That's very specific, more specific than like deal with the threat or discover the mystery of something that you might find in the Lamb Divine, which provides a more, you know, you're discovering the different objectives along the way that might solve that problem. These are really specific. Find the book, find your friend, that sort of thing.
And we said this before, but we're envisioning this game to be 30 minutes to an hour. And every time we've played, it has fallen within that timeline.
Yeah. And that's by design because kids have a short attention span and we want to make it as fun and snappy as possible. And as they begin to engage with the game, or they might want to play another session, or they might want to play more, and that's wonderful. But we didn't want to lock people into what could be potentially arduous when attention spans are at play. Garden Center and Quagmash, Lars Riggs. Sorry. That's funny, and it totally distracted me.
Okay. So, yeah, investigation, exploration. It's all about exploring, talking to people, talking to the NPCs, figuring out what's going on, then solving the problem. This is where it's sort of put into the player's hands more of what are your ideas to overcome this problem?
Yeah.
And we have, guidelines in the book, of course. Every adventure has these steps with guidelines, and that's how you should look at it, as guidelines. Obviously, you should be prepared for things to go astray, because they always do when you're playing,
especially with kids.
I mean, even adults, it's really hard to. That's why it's hard to railroad, because people just want to go in different ways, and you can never foresee anything.
Yeah, yeah.
So how do they solve the problem? And what do they do? Usually there's, you got to work together, teamwork.
Yeah,
and
combine everyone's talents.
We tried to write adventures that weren't always extremely straightforward. There's usually some other twist to what's going on. And then finally, resolution and rewards, the last step. Kids want to feel like they accomplish something, they get a reward, even if that's just the badge. That's awesome, like one step closer. But a lot of times there are item cards you can give, and some of the item cards are pets, so that's a cool
Always
wrinkle.
Paul C's got a great question. In terms of keeping things snappy, what kind of party size is it designed for?
2 to 6. There are enough character sheets to accommodate a lot of people, but
14.
Yeah.
And you could play one-on-one with your kid as well, because of the nature of the game, and it's being creative. It's not like, there will be so much automatic imbalance that you can't have fun with one kid. Derek asks, will Professor Bottomus Zarg be an NPC?
Yes, he will.
Of course he is. Appreciate that question.
Let me pull him up.
Yeah. Bottomus Zarg. While Ben's pulling that up, Paul C's got another comment. Run it with an entire actual class of kids challenge. Oh, please. If someone attempts it and succeeds or doesn't, please let us know in the Discord. There he is. Professor Bottomus Zarg became one of our favorite characters, like instantly.
Yeah, he's
Writing
really fun
his
to write.
writing his dialogue is so fun, and I cannot express how many times Ben and I were in tears laughing at his dialogue.
Because he's like a robot. He doesn't
Yeah,
understand any form of humor or
yeah, just like
nuance.
metaphor is lost on him, like any social nuance. He's got the EQ of a brick. Let's see what else. Now, you want to go over item adversaries, maybe how they work? Show an adversary card, then items.
Sure.
Bottom is Zarg. I see little Augie's head there. Love him.
There are 12 classes, by the way, 12 academy courses.
Academy courses, not like playable classes.
Right.
To be clear.
Right. Academy courses. And each one has a professor. Professor Clementine teaches 2 of them. Here's
which is
Professor
canonical.
Okay.
Lith asks, do adversaries have random reactions like in Ebe?
Random reactions.
Like social stuff. Do they have the elements that make them unique like they are in the Land of Ebe? How they deal with defeat or victory or whatnot?
They have likes.
Yeah.
They like certain things.
Right, sort of. We truncated it down to the things that the creatures like so that you could engage with them based on what tickles their fancy. Augie. As Ben is bringing up the adversary, another comment. Dungeoneer adventures as a kid's LARP could actually be really interesting. That's amazing. That would be amazing. I like a couple of years ago when we released, I think book two, somebody pinged us on social media that their kid had a full like Coop Cooperson costume that they were wearing for Halloween because that was their favorite character with like the torch and everything. And it was amazing. It was a great costume. We had another person go as Augie. They like made an Augie mask and everything. That was awesome.
That one. So you can see how simplified they are. There's no other information about these. You're not having to read a bunch of other stuff in the books or anything. This is all the information on the card. So you've got a short description. Like we were saying, the 3 things that they like that you can sort of either role play as the GM or the players can sort of appeal to these likes in some way.
Mm-hmm.
And then most adversaries have 1 or 2 abilities. The Gorgle Beast has 10 courage, which is the most you can have. It makes melee attacks, and it has defense, which is it makes it harder to hit because Dungeoneers roll with disadvantage to hit it. Not a lot of creatures have defense.
Gorgle Beast is an example of like the whole 9 yards creature minus ranged attacks. I think Dragon is the only one that has everything, right?
How does one say? We say dwerg.
Dwerg and warg is what we say.
Which is, it's like Han Solo or Han Solo,
Yeah, and we were influenced.
You can say dwarg.
Yeah, I was influenced by hearing it said that way somewhere, like in a reference, like etymology guide for like old terminology for dwarf. And I can't even remember what I was reading or how I saw it, but that was how it was pronounced in that piece. And then it just kind of stuck, if that makes sense.
Well, I remember we had committed to one of them. I'm not sure which, if it was Warg or Dwarg, but based on that one,
I say
we
dwarg.
saw. Well, I'm not even talking about pronunciation. I'm talking about like
Oh,
choosing
yeah,
to
yeah,
use that.
Right.
We saw that one or the other also was like that. We're like, oh, it's got to be a thing. That's got to be a thing.
It's got to be a thing. But pronounce it however makes sense.
The only thing that we really need you to pronounce correctly is Eppley.
And Eam.
That's true.
It's the land of Eam and Eppley. Yeah. But there's like 40 songs with Eppley in it now, so you can hear it. You can hear it sung.
Yeah,
Yeah, Drew. It really is either or. It's totally acceptable, however you like it.
Either.
Yes, either.
Either org.
Either or either.
Okay, here's the back of the card. Here's a skeleton.
Is Zarg going to be a playable folk in Eam?
Eventually, yes.
Yes.
He's an oog.
He's an oog. It will probably, at some point on Patreon, we'll probably introduce the playtest folk for Zarg.
Yeah, there's a handful of things that we're like holding back, even though we have 30 on Patreon right now. There's like, I can think it. James said, "Oh, more soon on Dwarf." Recently on the Discord.
Soon as a decade. When I'm talking, we have a bit of a pipeline of things that we're working on, but we do actually have a lot of material that's just not ready yet that we've been working on, like a enormous amount actually. Do dwarves live in the land of Eam? Yes, we have several references to them. They just are not a playable folk, and there are no NPCs of them yet. But we mentioned
there'd be a fire spit Dwarg item card. There isn't. That's a great idea.
That is a great idea.
We think it'd be cool to, do expansions of cards, like card packs you could buy.
Yeah, it's a great way to expand on this game. Like adventures and card packs, like is what you need really to take it. Like more, we have more adversaries that we could introduce to the game too. It's just a matter of budget and interest.
Soon to be forest. According to the Green Gallavanters.
Soon as a geological scale.
So you guys can see that the skeleton's pretty vanilla as far as the adversaries go. You got your 2 courage, you've got your melee attack. You don't like anything.
Nah.
Skeletons don't like anything. They're mindless, resurrected remains of the dead, brought to life by a necromantic curse. This isn't your rickety stitch.
No.
We can go through a couple more. Got your bevel.
Shut up and take my money. Thank you. A Land of Eam classic, the bevel.
Now you may be seeing this. This isn't formatted correctly yet. This will have an icon of the dice.
Mm-hmm.
Like this one has here.
Yeah.
So Blemmy's like slapstick comedy, wrestling, and fart jokes. So
Gosh, It's the most land of meme description that has ever been. Slapstick comedy, wrestling, and fart jokes. Sorry, parents. There's fart
No, they'll
jokes in
love it.
Dungeoneer.
Kids love that. They know that. You want to look at some item cards? Or
Final Strike could be called Death Rattle. That is good. That is very good.
Yes.
Let's see. Ooh,
right, here are some pets.
Yeah, let's start with the pets because they're great. Like, because there's nothing more fun than like having a companion, you know.
And this is, this is a canon pet. This is Daz of the green team. This is her pet. Peach is a snack bunny. So a pet, and most of the items have one ability, and these are things you can use your quest points on as well. So
yeah, they function like an item, like technically, but it's a particular type of item.
Yeah, function like an ability technically.
Yeah, so yeah, technically, yeah, right. That's right.
So you can make an adversary chase after Peaches, ignoring everyone else, and Peaches also can bite, dealing 2 dread to an adversary, which is pretty powerful. Miss Fang, the caterpillar, who is Mr. Fang's pet. So what else we got? Spongosaur, Corral. Some people might say Spongosaur. Hey,
more power
to you.
A wide range of characters allows those aforementioned parents to show other humor, like terrible dad jokes. We should make a terrible dad joke compendium for Dungeoneer Adventures.
Murph the Quab.
Murph, yep. Canon character.
The stalwart familiar of the Shovelwises. This means the ability is unlimited, so you can always carry 4 adventuring gear items. And it can eat a small item or critter, slurping it up in his trunk.
Hey, DM Tails, welcome.
How's it going?
How you doing? We're looking forward to our chat.
Yeah, we're going to be on DM Tails' YouTube channel on the 24th, Tuesday.
Yeah, everybody make sure you tune in for that. That'll be fun.
I think it's at 6 p.m. Our time, PST.
Pacific, yeah. Miss Fang is sassy.
Okay. See some blank stuff here. Where we go. Here's a sword. Here's a weapon. So, grants advantage on checks to climb. Inflict +1 dread. If there are any inconsistencies, that's just because we're still in, layout of all this stuff. So.
Yeah, it's not 100% finalized, but you can see it's pretty far along. Like we've been hard at work.
The Ricochet Slinger. I like this one.
Yeah.
On a banana peel, you hit the target.
When missing is out of the question.
Yeah, you essentially can't miss with it.
I love it. This is like in my top 5 actual items, actually. It's just so fun.
We also, put little lore flavor stuff on each of the cards. So you got your Thunderbolt. If you roll a 2 dread, this is the symbol for dread, a broken heart, you stun the target. And there are some conditions. Stun is one of them. There's just a handful, though. It's not, they're all streamlined. There's not a big list like in Land of Eam. I think there are 4 or 5. And an area of effect attack is one that hits all enemies that are near you.
Yep.
And a lot of adversaries have that, like the larger ones, so they'll make an attack and just like hit all the Dungeoneers who are close to them. We've got, what else should we do, James?
Good question.
Will there be any blank item cards in the box for custom items?
Oh, interesting idea.
That's something we had not considered.
Yeah. Something we got to noodle, though. We'll think about how that would work. Zelda, if you're listening, and we know that you are.
It is a strict budget because of just the cost of everything, and trying to keep this box, which we want to be at a friendly price point for families.
Yeah.
But you do get PDFs, so maybe we could just
put some blank ones on a PDF so people could print them out. That'd be helpful. Yeah, I'd love that. Great idea.
Grangor. It's awesome. That's a Mucklin Sandbox reference. Oh, sorry.
Of course, Sandbox. Yeah. Of course, DM Tales. We are super excited to be joining you.
Cool. Is there anything else?
Any specific questions that we didn't?
Rules.
Yeah. Good idea. Include PDF templates via QR code for those custom cards. Not bad. Thank you, DM Tales. Thank you.
Could show you a bit of the sandbox as well.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I was thinking about that earlier in the stream. I'm glad you said that. Talk about we talked about the adventure structure already, but here is an example of what you can expect to see in the book.
Yeah, so you got your introduction, what this book is really about, and how to use it. You've got your academy courses. Each one has adventures. There's a structure to the adventure. And here's an example of a academy course page. It's just one spread. You've got your description of the class, Dungeoneering 101, curriculum, like a bullet point list of everything that is covered in this class. So it'll give the GM some talking points to sort of role play as the teacher in those little moments, either like before or after this adventure. And then you've got your teacher, your professor, and they're laid out. They've got full color art, but the structure is a lot like the Mucklin Sandbox, Underland Sandbox, where you've got a paragraph and some core traits and a motivation. And then you go over to this side and they each have a badge adventure. And these are adventures that you gain a badge from. And so you can read aloud this text to the players. Here's some special GM information to give context. Here's the clear objective for you and the kids, the Dungeoneers. And this particular adventure is tied to or it's like basically a dungeon crawl. And so each chamber of the dungeon is explained here in the investigation exploration. Not every adventure is like that by any means. It sort of might be unique actually within the adventures.
I think you're right.
That way.
I think you're right. But it's easy to follow.
Yeah.
Paulson's got a great question. We didn't get to this yesterday, but someone asked on stream about the conflict structure in Dungeoneer Adventures and how it differs from Land of Beam.
Well, there is no phases. There are no phases of combat. It's more meant to be freeform, and
we basically stripped it out.
Yeah. It's basically on a Dungeoneer's turn, you can choose to move or attack. And this is specifically combat. Of course, you can avoid combat through use of your abilities or, thinking or running away. But it has the rounds and turns that Land of Beam has. It's not broken up into the 4 phases. We felt like that would be a little too heavy-handed for kids.
Yeah, just our experience is that it becomes freeform like immediately when you're playing with kids. It's just, I won't say it goes off the rails, but it kind of does. And so make it easy to oh, that's funny. Is there a level 2 to the Academy, Ben? Reading the books says level 1, making me wonder.
I think yes, but James and I never got around to it. The truth of the matter is we were planning on doing level 2 in the second book, but time just slipped away, like under the demands of a publishing schedule. And
the page count got high, so we had to,
and there was literally no time to sneak it into the book. But that's something that we can explore. If Dungeoneer Adventures RPG is a success, it would be cool to explore that.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways that we could support the game and expand it, and that's definitely one of them. The teacher with the missing leg, love it. Professor Clementine, Dungeoneering 101. She's seen it all. That's a torch. It is. It is a torch. It's like Inspector Gadget.
Some more popcorn initiative or what? The Dungeoneers always go before the adversaries, and you can go in a freeform order. If you don't want that, you go youngest player first and then go in that order. Or, to each your own.
What ages are you thinking for this version? So this Dungeoneer Adventures, the beginner's game, is designed for 8+. But you probably could, like Land of Beam, with a little bit of parental guidance, you probably could go a little lower, a little younger.
Yeah, it's a hard thing to put an age on it, because once you start going lower to like 5, 6, like you really have to pull back and peel back a lot of the layers. So the safest is to say 8+, which is the Same age, not requirement, but recommended ages for Dungeoneer Adventures 8 to 12.
Mm-hmm.
But like James was saying, like Land of Eam, we say 12 plus, but I think you could go much lower than that playing Land of
And
Eam.
people totally do. Like, we get messages all the time about people playing with younger kids with Land of Eam, just with a little bit of guidance and just stripping out some of the more crunchy elements of the game.
Yeah, that's something that I kind of wish now that we had done for the Land of Eam core rulebook, is just like have one page and gave a few tips on how to play with younger kids.
Yeah,
Just
and be more explicit maybe about what you can just leave behind, because Land of Eam is a pretty simple game to play, but when you look at it in all of its enormity, it can seem more complex than it actually is.
Right, you crack open the book, you see the crafting. Well, you don't actually have to engage with crafting at all to actually play the game. How does armor work? Is it like extra courage? Yes.
Great question.
It is extra courage that gets depleted.
I'm going to show, yeah. There's another Dungeoneer Adventures, a Dungeoneer Academy course, Combat and Tactics. This is Victor 7. This is the early bird meeple that you can get if you get back early.
He is the professor of combat and tactics. He eventually removed Coach Quag from the position. You know, he became redundant.
He just he reluctantly took over the course because his skill set was far more suited to it than Coach Quag. That's one of my favorite scenes, actually. Like, we had a blast writing that in the book series.
Does armor replenish at any point, or is it gone forever once used? It is used up in an adventure, but it'll be replenished in the next adventure. Whereas courage can be healed during an adventure.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. I love the cutouts on the borders. It makes the layout look like a ticket to adventure. That's great. Thank you, DM Tales. That's awesome.
Yeah, this design, which is, comes from the card, like the same design on the card, those borders. That was done by Joshua Bowens, who also did the slipcase design and the back cover design for Land of Eam.
Yep. Great designer. The robot took his gerb. He did.
Yeah, if you're not familiar with Dungeoneer Adventures, Coach Quag, he's sort of a blustery guy with not as much credentials as Victor 7, who was programmed to be a hero.
Yep. Literally programmed to be a hero.
I think there might have been. Oh. Well,
yeah. Is that all the spreads? I think we've
shown everything.
Yeah, we showed everything we can show so far.
As you can see, I'm coloring a lot of the stuff from the books. So you'll see a lot of the art that's in the trilogy come to life with color.
Yeah. That's been fun for me to see the some of these pieces just really pop like that.
Also changing some of the dialogue just to fit in the rule book. Be like, and here you'll see, we didn't point this out, the badges for each class. Each of these classes will have a badge. And as we mentioned yesterday, one of the later stretch goals, not even on the campaign page, don't know if we're going to get that far, but one of our ideas is to have patches of these badges that you can give to the players as physical items. Maybe it's something we can, if we don't get the stretch goal, we can produce anyway as an item that you can just buy. But we thought that would be pretty cool to have, you know, like Boy Scout badges type things.
Yeah, like imagine just like handing over the badges to the kids, like for winning, or you know, it's cool. It's cool. Deep cut. Did Victor 7 inherit Mo from Coach Quag, or does he have to bring his own Sputter Tech vein?
So I'll pull up Coach Quag so we can give more context.
Yeah, Coach Quag. He's such a fan favorite. Like we've got to bring up Coach Quag.
So Coach Quag is the training gauntlet teacher. He yells. He's cantankerous. He gets a big vein in his head when he's yelling. And
he always skips leg day.
Victor 7, I mean, I feel like he's cool as a cucumber. He's not gonna even react.
He's too polite.
Yeah, he's polite.
Victor 7's a gentleman. What a guy. Skips leg day, clearly. Oh my gosh, that hair.
It was sort of a strange experience coloring all these characters that I've been drawing in black and white.
Yeah. That hair makes me assume he's voiced by J.K. Simmons. Okay. So behind the scenes look, Coach Quag is kind of our love letter to Coach McGurk from Home Movies. Voiced by H. John Benjamin. So, which, you know.
Yeah, before hilarious. He was Bob, he was McGurk.
Yeah, McGurk. So H. John Benjamin, if you're watching, and we know that you are, just know that your performance as Coach Quag, your performance as Coach McGurk inspired Coach Quag in Dungeoneer Adventures.
But I could see J.K. like a cross between, I don't even know how that would sound, but a cross between J.K. Simmons and H. John Benjamin.
Yeah.
Maybe
the J.K. Simmons like laugh.
When he's yelling.
Yeah, when he's like yelling and laughing.
Yes.
Cooperson, give me notice of change. It's hilarious. Yeah, Home Movies is great. That's great stuff. So there's Coach Quag. It's like we couldn't leave the stream without talking about Coach Quag. He looks like Chet from Weird Science. He does. Oh, the great Bill Paxton. George Higgins like just sent us a GIF of Chet from Weird Science, which blows my mind. Good stuff. Well, I don't know that there's anything else specifically to cover. It was fun to go through the spreads like this, though.
We didn't really talk about maps.
Oh yeah, all the maps. Dungeoneer Academy map, adventure maps. Let's do that. Let's bring them up.
Well, most of the maps are tied, or most adventures are tied to to the maps.
Mm-hmm.
There are a few cases where that's not true, but all the maps are like multi-purpose. There's, at least a couple adventures, and if we get the stretch goal, there'll be even more adventures tied to these maps. You've all seen the Dungeoneer Academy map, maybe not fully colored. This was also tricky to color this, just because, living with it as a black and white piece for so long, I wanted to make it feel dark, but also bright at the same time. That's the trick of the Underlands. Anything in the Underlands is...
Yeah. Got to lean into our proclivities of like Master of the Universe colors.
So in the Sandbox book, this is all written out as if it were a dungeon, in terms of, every location is keyed with, NPCs, stuff that goes on there, like the purpose of the place. There's also random events at each location. So you could actually just play exploring the school and have a great time, just because there's random things that can happen all over the place.
Yeah.
And there are like many adventures that take place at the academy. So that will definitely happen as the Dungeoneers are running through and solving problems. And then we have this, which is oriented this way, and it's a double map. This is a point crawl. We have these symbols and icons for point crawls and hex crawls. Dungeon crawls. Now, in a point crawl, it doesn't really matter like the in between. It's just like going from 1 to 2 to 6, etc. It's sort of abstracted, whereas in this haunted wing, for example, it's not abstracted. This is the actual route to get to this room. You could have someone follow you that way, and so like it's a isolated area. This is like across a big place called the Forbidden Caverns, which is like a adjacent location to the school where they do a lot of their training.
Mm-hmm.
And it's forbidden because the students are not allowed to go there on their own. It's supposed to be like
A little
supervised or specially assigned. And I was working on this for a while. I got sidetracked by like putting together the whole story page for the campaign. But I've got the Fungal Jungle map. It's in progress.
So cool.
So it is both a point crawl and a dungeon crawl. This inner portion, the mushroom maze, is a dungeon crawl. And at the center is the mushroom city of Mycelior.
It's awesome.
And it's all based on the Underlands map that is finished, but it's sort of, abstracted and condensed onto this.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Yeah, thanks, DM Tales and Paul C.
There's the sputter rails where it all began.
Now the other map is Thurf. And we're just going to use the one that we have produced for.
Yeah, we already mapped Thurf for Mucklands.
We're going to change up the numbers and stuff.
Sure. Yeah, it'll be unique, but
it's the one drawn by Moreno Paisan, who is amazing and is also doing more for the Underlands,
including New Delve City. Lith is super excited to see New Delve City.
Yeah, that's a cool one. That's like,
yeah,
unlike any other map so far. It's very futuristic in some ways. It's like a futuristic medieval town.
Yeah, it's like Blade Runner meets medieval goblin town. Thank you, Paul. This is all the other maps have been great, and that the new stuff for Underlands and Dungeoneer Adventures is definitely keeping that bar high.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you. Yeah, Moreno is also he's great to work with. He's a super talented artist of maps, and it's great to see him come back as well to supplement a lot of Ben's beautiful stuff.
Moreno we can't sing his praises enough because he's very easy to work with, and we just give him descriptions. I don't have to draw anything.
He's like a magician, Ben. He's just on autopilot. He's just like, I'll download what's in your mind, and then there it is. And it's just amazing. I love working with him.
Yeah, it's like he'll draw something, and then we may like move some things around before he commits to pencils, but like after that, it's like
done.
Amazing. And that's the best feeling, just as an artist, having another artist just like finish something.
Yeah, just like expanding the vision, helping me do this.
All right. Happy to answer any more questions in these final minutes.
Thanks again for everybody coming out to hear us chat and hang out and ask all the questions. It's great to be able to. Whoa, yep, that's coming up. Dragontown Eam crossover. JP Coover joined us for the last stream. He was just watching, but we're looking forward to chatting with JP. He's a great guy, super talented creator, and Dragontown is just so perfect for Land of Eam. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, what day are we? Well, we're recording with him in a few days.
Yeah, we're recording before we release it, just schedule-wise. But it's on the calendar. I can't remember that. I don't have it in front of me, and I can't remember the date. But check out the campaign story page.
Currently, we're at 116,910. So that's awesome. Almost at 1,000 backers. Maybe we could do that today. I don't know.
Yeah. Try to get to 1,000 backers today. By the way, I want to thank everybody for all the sharing of the campaign that's been going on, because that really surprised Ben and I, and it's such a huge help to getting the word out there. People have been sharing the campaign in Discord channels. They've been sharing it with their social media, forwarding emails to friends. Seriously, huge thank yous to everybody that's been helping promote the campaign like that. We can't thank you enough.
Yeah, big thanks. We were blown away yesterday, but it surpassed the first day of our previous campaign, which was amazing.
Just amazing. Lith asks, are there any plans for physical versions of the city maps?
We don't have any plans, but it's not off the table.
Yeah, it's not off the table. It's just a matter of logistics and if it makes sense. And obviously we got to work with Exalted Funeral on it.
Yeah, I would love to like poll the audience on what products people want, because there's so many things at our fingertips that we could push to do. It's just what is going to be a winner.
Yeah, what to do and what order and what can we handle with all of our responsibilities. It's tough. DM Tales, an animated EAM series would be hysterical. Amen. Ladies and gentlemen, please write your letters to Netflix. I hope we get more JP Covert EAM adventures. I'm sure we will. I'm sure, JP was super busy with Dragontown, but maybe we can make something happen in the future.
And let me be clear, James doesn't have like some secret info.
No, I don't. I'm just saying. I'm literally saying maybe there's something we could do in the future. There's no secret info. I did not mean to pretend.
Your tone was like,
maybe we could get something going. No, I literally mean maybe we can make something happen in the future. Thank you, Hector. I can't wait for your kids to see this and see if they would like to play the game. And when you start to play with them, like, you got to let us know how it goes. Like, check out the Discord and just ping us, and we can't wait. Is everything an option on that poll? Because I'll take everything. Soon as 10 years when James is talking. As soon as we can.
Yeah. We have too many ideas.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah. We're absolutely not out of ideas. They've got infinite ideas.
And a weird thing always seems to happen where, like, we think the next thing we're going to do is like this thing over here, but something shifts and we pivot and like we somehow finish another project before
first. Yeah. Which we did 3 times last year.
Yeah, it's kind of wild.
Yeah, we weren't sure if we were going to do the Underlands and Dungeoneer Adventures first. Then there were some other projects in the pipeline that we just did because it seemed to make sense at the time. It's a weird industry, the publishing industry.
Yeah.
Right? You just got to keep people on their toes. Paul knows.
Just got to keep each other on our toes,
Yeah.
But
yeah. But anyway, thanks everybody for joining the stream, and thank you so much for your support and for sharing the campaign. We'll be back with more stuff throughout the next 30 days. Check out the calendar for what's next, and we hope to see you there.
Yeah. Tomorrow, another Wizards of EAM podcast.
Indeed.
So stay tuned for that. All right. Thanks, everyone. Really appreciate you hanging out, asking us questions. Makes this a lot of fun. And thank you for backing the project.
Huge thanks. Huge thanks. Take it easy.
All right. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye, guys.